Saturday, lovelies.
From Liverpool Lime Street and Manchester Piccadilly.
Saturday night, Piccadilly.
To the smallest stations, the railway is a lifeline for the north of England.
Customer satisfaction, that's our destination.
But the system is under pressure as never before.
We've got a Leeds service cancelled, the Liverpool service cancelled, and the Piccadilly service cancelled.
And staff are in the firing line.
Move a bit more down for me, please, so I can get everyone on. Let you guys get on!
What's the worst thing that can happen? You punch us. It's happened before, it'll happen again.
I sack everyone from top to bottom is a complete waste of time.
Now, cameras have been allowed behind the scenes. At the company that runs some of the busiest and most crowded trains in Britain, Transpennine Express.
Guys, just stay there for me.
Keep your head stuck.
It's not responsive.
Filmed during a make or break year,
We are expanding our fleet by over 60%. For Transpennine, this is the biggest thing we've ever done.
It's gonna go right. It's got to. Has to.
this is the inside story of what it really takes to run a railway.
Just with the weather, and nothing at all is moving out of Piccadilly.
I can confirm the 2 children are on the tracks at the minute.
And get the north back on track.
We'll deliver for the north.
This time,
Why people will want to walk down a railway line where trains fly past at 90 miles an hour, I do not know.
the battle against trespassers
Nobody wants to get the call to say someone's been hit by a train.
and a fatality brings services to a standstill.
Certainly no direct services and won't be for a long time. It has to be treated with the utmost seriousness. At the end of the day, someone has just lost their life.
Folks, you want to move down to that door there for me, please?
It's another hectic day across Transpennine's network.
Folks, do you want to move up and use all the doors for me, please? There's a bit more space just at the rear there, folks.
Passengers in Yorkshire are shoulder to shoulder on the most overcrowded trains in the north.
I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it. That's the next one. It's not worth my mental health.
On the other side of the Pennines at the control room in Manchester, duty manager Anne Smith has been trying to get to the root of the problems all day.
The red on the board on the P2 screen indicates all our trains that are running 9 minutes late or more. There's a point problem at York. It's been going on since this morning and it reoccurred this afternoon. These things happen, points failures are quite common on the railway. Yes. Yeah. Okay, what's up? So that was Network Rail just advised us that the job stopped at the minute at Lancaster. The police are chasing someone around the north end of the station, so there'll be no movement, no trains will be moving now at Lancaster.
One person every hour puts their life in danger trespassing on the railway.
Hello, Control, Claire speaking.
And minutes after the first incident, the team received news of a second 120 miles away in South Yorkshire.
Right, okay, no problem. Thanks for the heads up with that one. Bye-bye. It's suspect at the moment, but it's not confirmed.
I'll give the on-call, I'll just take a case.
One of our whole train services that we manage has struck someone, potentially struck someone on the East Coast Main Line just near Doncaster. It's not confirmed yet if it's a hit of actual person. We're just waiting to find out. We just need to investigate to confirm if it is or if it's just an object. So hopefully I'll get a bit more information soon.
You all right, Claire? You all right?
Absolutely.
It's things like accidents that, that's what cuts you up more, than if somebody that was using the crossing. Like I said, trespass, we're used to it now, to be honest. There's quite a lot of fatalities, but when it's an accident, it's totally different.
Hello, Control, Claire speaking. Right. The assistant driver's going to take over. Right, okay, that's fair. Right, okay. You have to speak to the signaller, and if they're happy for them to go forward, then that's fine by us as well. No problem. Thanks for the update. Cheers, Rebecca. Thank you. Bye-bye. They can't find anyone. I think he must have just hit something. Yeah.
After inspection, the driver's not found anything, so thankfully it doesn't look like we've struck somebody.
It's a relief to the driver and all in the control room that this time it was a false alarm.
I didn't want that, so I breathe again now.
But trespassing on the railway is at a 10-year high, and the next culprit may not be so lucky. The British Transport Police have now set up dedicated response teams to tackle the problem, and Bex and Kaylee are on duty today.
Had a call, a bunch of youths causing a bit of antisocial behaviour, hanging around and intimidating people, so we're going to go and see what we can do about it.
Half of those killed are young people, and last year 550 children were caught on the tracks.
We are in luck. Can you hear them? Can you hear them? As you can hear, is some form of noise that they class as music. They'll all be hanging around just under the little bridge here, so let's go and introduce ourselves.
Trains pass through here at speeds of up to 100 miles an hour, and the teenagers are on a wall just a few feet from the tracks.
Guys, just stay there for me.
Stay where you are, guys.
I saw 5 youths and one was dancing up on the side. Guys,
stay where you are. What are you guys up to tonight?
Well, I've just come out and met these.
Do you know why we're here?
Disruption, probably?
Yes, yeah. Exactly that.
Safety on train tracks.
Yeah, well obviously we've just seen that one jumping up and down on the wall, yeah. The concern there is, with this weather, they've got the staircase right next to them, they're drinking, they're standing on the walls, they could slip, get stuck, and that's it, game over. You can have a word with them and tell them not to be returned to the station.
Yeah, will do.
Right, see you later. The problem with this station is there's fencing missing, so the access to the tracks is really quite easy. I just want to cover that.
They're hoping they've done enough for now, but Bex and Kaylee will be back to check if the teenagers stay away. Simon Powell is one of almost 500 drivers at Transpennine. Today he started his shift with the Manchester to York run. And as usual, he's keeping his eyes peeled.
I feel a massive responsibility. I think that responsibility starts the night before your shift, when you prepare and you go to bed and make sure that you've had sufficient restful sleep, and that responsibility is in the back of your mind the whole time. I've got a load of people behind me, all expecting to get where they're going on time and safely.
A yellow light is never good news.
Okay, so there we go. We're now crawling along. What are we doing? 35 miles an hour, 2 yellows ahead. The signal has just put a freight train in front of us. So we're on a 100-mile-an-hour stretch of line doing 35 miles an hour. We're now following this freight train all the way to York, so we'll get to York when we get there.
Even at the best of times, the network's fully stretched.
It is frustrating. We're desperately trying our hardest to get people from A to B on time to run a really good service, but something like this happens and it will have a big impact. But there is a bigger picture. There's a lot of trains moving about on very little infrastructure, and so this move could have probably been unavoidable.
At the network control centre just outside Manchester.
Still struggling, Claire, yeah?
The person that I want to speak to is currently on the phone to someone upstairs, so I can see that they're on to train crew.
Claire is the best. She's right with them.
It's the job of Anne and her team to juggle the competing demands of passengers and freight trains.
Like a jigsaw.
And sometimes it's impossible to keep everyone happy.
Don't know how I got into this job, I tell you. I've been doing it 25 years now, so... But yeah, I must like it.
At York, Simon's finally made it. But his next train is already waiting for him on the other side of the station.
Oh, wow, it's cold out there. So it was a bit of a rush. We've just brought a Class 185 up from Manchester, which was delayed by the freight train. That has had a knock-on effect, and so now the service to Liverpool Lime Street has been delayed, waiting for me to arrive. These people aren't going to make it now. We've got a door pattern, I've got door interlock. Release the brakes, and we're off.
But just as Simon gets underway, there's a message from the guard.
Right, Simon, pass your message over. Okay, that's understood. Thank you for that. Driver out. Okay, so the conductor's just informed me that he believes there may have been a fatality. So we'll be awaiting further instructions and may not be going past Leeds.
Can't work, I've lost a lot more, so I've lost that 1991, it's a full cancellation.
If there is a fatality, controllers must move quickly, diverting trains around the incident.
Sierra 88, so we've lost 4 trains. Right.
And they're able to offer immediate on-call support to the driver involved.
We ask them if they require chain of care. Sometimes you don't need to ask, you just know that they need it. It could just be a matter of giving the train crew a phone call, but we would be sending staff to site because you'd expect that the train crew would be in any position to carry on.
What's the first thing that goes through your head when you hear there's been a fatality on the tracks?
First thing that goes through my head is thinking about the driver. I had a fatality, didn't I? And I've had 2. Jeez.
Coming up.
What's going on? There's been a fatality, sir.
The effects of the death on the track ripple out across the network.
When you hear that word fatality, you'll find any member of railway staff will go, there's a collective sigh.
And more lives are at risk as Simon's journey goes from bad to worse.
The signal has had a report of children running between the up and down line.
Someone's been hit by a train on the main line between Leeds and Manchester.
I'm guessing all trains will be backing up all over the place now, so they want this train to go back to York.
At Huddersfield, Revenue Protection Officer Mark Lloyd has the tricky job of informing the public.
What's going on? There's been a fatality, sir.
The entire stretch of line is now closed.
Nothing's going towards Leeds. Nothing will be coming to us from Leeds, and the usual chaos ensues. Certainly no direct services, and won't be for a long time. Someone's been hit by a train, and this was reported about 15 minutes ago, maybe 20 minutes ago. It's a terrible thing when a fatality happens, not just because of the loss of life, but which is obviously the main thing, but also it has to be treated as a crime scene. It has to be investigated as if it was a crime scene, just in case. It's got to be taped off, forensics, the full kit and caboodle before they can move a train.
Is it a fatality?
Yes, it is. So unfortunately, when you have a system like that or an incident like that, it has to be treated with the utmost seriousness. At the end of the day, someone has just lost their life.
With the line closed, Simon is having to take his passengers back to where they started at York.
Definitely not a walk I expected to be doing today. It does bring it back a little bit. It certainly did on the way down here. But then you've got to put that in the back of your mind, focus on the job that you're doing, and keep in mind that you've got to convey this train, these passengers, safely to hopefully the destination, but at this point back to York.
Many drivers will experience a fatality at some point in their career.
I think it's something that you never actually completely get over. It stays with you forever, but you learn to sort of deal with it. There's a lot of support from colleagues, the company, from our managers. They're all brilliant, along with counsellors. And I think it also helps if you have a lot of support from friends and family at home, which I was lucky enough to have. But yeah, I mean, on a night like tonight, you come to work, you're trying to do the job to the best of your ability, and there's a big knock-on effect to the services, which will be disrupted probably well into the night.
Back at Huddersfield,
Anyone for Leeds?
Anyone else going towards Leeds? Platform 5, going in 2 minutes.
the main line to Leeds is still closed, and trains are being diverted to other routes.
My God, she's got a voice that gets strip paper, that lass. Commuters
are facing long journeys home.
Nobody ever said it was going to be a bed of roses, and it's a hell of a lot better than the poor swine who's just been killed. And I feel the most sorry for the family of the person who's passed away, the driver of the train who's seen it, and it certainly makes the job a great deal harder. When you hear that word fatality, you'll find any member of railway staff will go, well, there's a collective sigh.
Whatever the problems affecting the network, the Ardwick depot in Manchester is open 24/7, and there's always work to be done. Today, one of their Class 185s is out of action due to a suspected cracked manifold, the train's exhaust pipe. A team of technicians led by Steve Wyatt must get it fixed and back out on the tracks as soon as possible.
You can see the cracks on the manifold where it's been leaking. It could be that it's blown and it's caused other problems.
If nothing's done, hot exhaust gases could escape, triggering fire alarms and stopping the train. They're going to have to lift the mighty 3-ton engine away from the pipework to get at the cracked area.
The purpose of powering a train, they make it all compact, but for maintenance it can be challenging.
It'll take some hard graft to get to the nuts and bolts that hold the engine in place. But first, Steve must drain off hundreds of litres of toxic coolant.
We do have protection from it, you know, these oversuits. In winter it's not bad, in summer it's a little bit more challenging in that, you know, they're like a boil in the back.
Steve was a toolmaker for over 30 years before he became an overhaul technician at the depot.
Since I've been here, it's made me realise there is a pride, and I've got that pride in what I do and what we deliver. But I never get on the train thinking, ooh, that doesn't sound very good. I'm just pleased that it's there, it's on time, and it gets me home. You all right there, Donny?
And for this job, Steve's working without his usual team.
One of the regular technicians in the department is phoned in sick.
So the pressure's on to get the train back into service.
So we've got 2 Dans. Dan, who's a regular. Will you take them bolts out for me? Beautiful, thank you. But the other Dan, he's not been in the department before, so it'll probably take us a bit longer. You may have to just wind it in a little bit, just to give yourself that clearance.
Folks, when you get on, can you use all the aisle for me, please?
It's 8:30 p.m. at Leeds Station. With no sign of the line reopening, Simon Powell is taking his train back north.
So it's not where the train was supposed to be going. It was supposed to be going through to Manchester, Victoria, but the fatality still is ongoing with an investigation. So we're taking this train back to York. So 35. So now look at that view out of the window there, and that's what makes the whole thing worthwhile. It's, you know, it's what a great office. I could have been sat behind a desk doing the computer all day long. It's a nice fast bit of track on the way to York, so we'll be able to open it right up and get up to 100 miles an hour, signals permitting.
It seems there could be more problems ahead.
And yellow signals. So I've got 2 yellows. So power off, apply a little bit of brake. So the nice clear run we were hoping for is not going to be, sadly. So we stopped again at a red signal. We've had a message from York Rock Leeds East panel to contact the signaller. Who knows what lies ahead? Let's find out. Hello Leeds East Assist, it's the driver of 1 Golf 78, stood at Lima 799 signal, over.
After the death earlier in the night, he's hoping this isn't bad news again.
Okay, so you've had a report of children on the line in the region of Bridge 14, which is approximately 1 mile beyond East Garforth Station. Over.
Coming up.
Looks like there's some lights down there, look, doesn't it?
Simon's on the trail of the track intruders.
We're going to try and get them into our train if possible. Right.
Before trespassers strike yet again.
Graffiti artists have decided to attack a few of our units.
I feel like Karate Kid. Wax on, wax off.
A train heading to York has been brought to a halt by suspected trespassers on the line.
The signaller has had a report of children running between the up and down line, 1 mile beyond East Garforth Station. So, given what's already happened tonight, it's not a great night for things, really. We're going to have to, once this signal clears, proceed at caution through the area, which means I'll be going more slowly than normal and keeping a really good lookout. So, I've got a green, proceeding at caution. So I need to be going at a speed where if somebody does run in front of the train, I can stop.
Simon's now running at 10 miles an hour, but even at this speed, a collision could be fatal.
This is the second time this year I've had trespassers. Maybe that's quite frequent.
And he's getting close to East Garforth Station, where the kids were last seen.
Looks like there's some lights down there, look, doesn't it? Bastards.
Now he's spotted them, Simon must bring his train to a stop.
That's a train coming, isn't it?
Which has warning lights.
The approaching train is barely 100 yards away.
Sorry, Leeds, it's 1 Golf 78. I can confirm the 3 children are on the tracks at the minute. As the train's approaching in the up direction with them, they're trying to climb over the boundary fence. We're going to try and get them into our train if possible. Right. Fuckers.
Out on the tracks, Simon searches for the kids, but they've vanished into the night.
Looks like they've left the railway, so I'm just going to give the signaller a call and then we'll be underway, I believe, over. Driver out. Right. So, looks like they're clear of the railway, doesn't it now? Okay, 1 Golf 78 out. Nice. Right. Green signal.
They're off again.
It's all happening tonight. It's amazing how you go through shift after shift and it'll all be very mundane, and then all of a sudden everything gets thrown at you. It's beyond me. Why people will want to walk down a railway line where trains fly past at 90 miles an hour, I do not know. But anyway, there we go. One person's been hit tonight, and there were 2 to 3 more potential fatalities.
28 lives were lost last year trespassing on the railway.
What frustrates me is that they get away with it, and they get away with it over and over again until such a time that they don't. They lose their life, but they affect the lives of loads and loads of other people.
British Transport Police officers Bex and Kaylee are back trying to stop teenagers hanging around the tracks.
What made you guys run away earlier? What made you guys run away earlier?
I work with you.
Okay, I'm going to be having a quick chat with you. You can just turn around, come over here please. Come here. Do not pull away, I just told you we're having a chat. Now come down here, we're having a chat. You know exactly why. What are you doing here?
Sat there.
Well, you weren't sat there when I walked down, you were still on the wall jumping up and down.
Right.
What are you doing on the station? Why are you hanging around here? So what's your first name?
It's the only place that we can go.
It's a bit frustrating, actually, because there's so many places they can go and where they can sort of hang around, and they choose to do it on a railway. It's not a safe environment, and I know you say you've got nowhere else to go, but at the same time you can't be on here. It's frustrating for us because they don't realise what it's doing and what it's causing, like the cost of what it's causing.
It takes from us
Yeah,
as well.
exactly, and they don't realise the danger as well, isn't it? Like, the last thing I want to be doing is coming into work and having to go to a call because a kid who's just wanted to play their music and have a laugh with their friends next to the tracks has decided that he wants to run across it and then run back, but as a result of that's been hit by a train. Like, right, this is your friend, yeah? Right, see you later, don't come back. Suddenly stop being so mouthy when they're pulled away. Hopefully the message got through, if not we'll just keep reiterating that message until it gets through. Fingers crossed they're not going to be back anytime soon. But now let's get out of this rain, because I will get a very curly wig otherwise. Yeah.
Right.
At the depot, Steve and the Dans are working flat out to replace the cracked exhaust system.
There are 2 fixed locations on each side of the engine, and they have to come out simultaneously, because if it sticks one side, it's going to hold it on there and that one's going to lower off. So you don't want, at all costs, you prevent that happening. So we're going to lower it off gradually.
They're lowering the 3-ton engine onto a supporting frame, and their judgment has to be perfect.
Danny, you all right your side? Yes, sir. Happy, Danny, your side? Yeah. I'll call you Dan and you Danny. All right, Danny? Dan? So you can see it's out now, the location up there, and the side that Danny's on is the one in particular where all the obstructions are.
Because there are so many vital components around the engine, it's tricky to get to the fixings holding it to the train.
All right, Danny?
Finally, it's down.
So what we're going to do now is disconnect the air and then lower the floor off, and we'll transfer the engine over into the workshop.
Steve is at the controls of a complex system of moving floor platforms, hoists and cranes, all designed to manoeuvre the 3-ton engine across the depot. With the engine freed from the train, the problem becomes obvious.
So you can clearly see this crack now, and it goes all the way around to there. But all the black soot is where it's been leaking from there. We need to get rid of all that. You wouldn't believe that it gets leaves on the top of the engine, and that in itself is a fire hazard.
Unbolting the old manifold is proving tricky.
Oh! They're going to have to cut them off. Oh, it snapped. It's the heat and how it's affected the material. But as he's put a force on that, it's literally sheared it off.
But it seems Steve's regular Dan has the magic touch.
It's going, isn't it?
going now.
Nice one. Danny saved the day.
Before they can fit the new manifold, the engine needs some spit and polish.
You can see it's got a little bit of residue of that gasket on it. So I'm just going to remove that. Just make sure that it's a flat face for the new gasket to go on.
The two components must fit together perfectly.
This is another job that, if it all goes well, can be a simple, easy job to do. And then for some unknown reason, sometimes they don't line up as well. Ah.
They've hit a snag bolting the new manifold onto the engine.
So this is one of the nightmares.
And it could hold up the train going back into service.
Aye, 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 aye. Come on.
It's 12 hours since the death on the line.
Got a unit that was involved in a fatality last night. The reports were that someone had crossed the track as the unit was approaching. So we need to go now inspect that unit for damage.
The train will need to be closely examined and then deep cleaned.
You can see straight away, going round the side, that this is where the impact's been. Obviously the unit's impacted by a body and that can damage any part of the train. You know, if it's head on, you've got your windscreens that can be smashed. Anything that sort of hangs underneath, so you know, you've got engines, transmissions, there's oil systems going around in those, you know, in your cooler group and your engines, and you can result in oil leaks as a result. Impact with the compressor or the air tanks, then you can result in a complete loss of air. If that happens, you're not going to be able to move the train anywhere.
It's sensitive work for James and his team, but they can't forget that the train will be needed back out on the tracks soon.
My priority now is getting this train back into service. So we've got a team that should be due out very shortly now to clean the unit. They'll carry out a full clean of the underframe, and if they spot anything, you know, sort of out of the ordinary, they will let us know.
But at Manchester's busy Victoria station, Performance Ambassador Mackenzie Kennedy has had some bad news about yet another unit in the Transpennine fleet.
Folks, you just squeeze down the aisle just a little bit, just so I can get everyone on, please.
Vandals have struck one of their brand new trains and it's had to be pulled from service.
Anything new is always a target on the railway. So our lovely graffiti artists in Scarborough have decided to attack a few of our units. If I just show you some of the pictures. So this is one of our new units who's decided to put a brand new liquor paint on it. So we're obviously looking for someone called Bob. A lot of people think it's trivial, but you're damaging property, you know, you're damaging a vehicle that costs millions of pounds. And because of that, that's a train out of service. See you later.
He's been there an hour already. ME 1950.
Controllers see the impact of vandalism on the whole network.
When trains get vandalised, it does cause us problems. We have to make an effort and get that train washed and cleaned. And in some cases, it can result in cancellations as well. So for a couple of minutes, a mindless act where somebody takes a couple of minutes to paint a train causes a lot of inconvenience to a lot of people.
With 2 units already in the depot, Anne now has a 3rd train out of service. So at Ardwick...
it's there, I can just feel the thread start.
The pressure is on Steve and his team to get this unit back on the tracks. But they're struggling to attach the new manifold to the old engine.
That's the baby. Beautiful.
Finally, the last bolt goes into place.
Nice one, Danny.
And the engine can be slid back across the workshop and underneath the train, where it needs to slot back into place exactly as it left.
We're going to basically put it in line with the locators as we can best see, and then just adjust it as it's going up.
The team are hoping that the last part of the operation goes smoothly to keep them on schedule.
Dan, are you okay? Right, going up on the east.
They've got to judge this final stage perfectly.
Is that shaft clear? Yeah. Okay, going up east. You getting your bolts in yet, Danny?
No, probably a little bit more.
On the east?
Yeah.
That's all the way up. So now we can actually detach the airline and then gun them bolts in. We get some ear protection now.
With the engine reattached, they need to run it up to speed to check it's correctly fitted and airtight.
You make sure there are no leaks on the coolant, no leaks on the fuel. So our safety, passenger safety is the first consideration. Today, job done. We've achieved what's been expected of us. There was a few hiccups along the way, but we've managed to get over them, and the engine's a good one.
At a siding in Scarborough, the clean-up operation on the vandalised train is underway. Armed and ready to tackle the handiwork of the graffiti gang is cleaner Richard Bryan.
So what are the tools of the jobs they're giving you to work with today then?
Magic sponge.
They seem pretty small sponges for such a big job.
I don't know how to answer that one. Apart from yes. Yeah, it wouldn't make sense to have a bigger area.
He's got his work cut out, cleaning over 100 metres of carriage.
The reason I think they're attacking the new ones is because of the length of the actual train now. There are actually 5 carriages, whereas the others were only 3. So the majority of the train sticks out of the bottom end. So, which is, if you can see the distance from there to there, if anybody's spotted, by the time you've got up there, they're well down the track, long gone. Feel like Karate Kid. Wax on, wax off. If somebody was caught doing this, it should be a hefty fine, and then doing what I'm doing at the moment. I'm sure it'd soon deter them. Stood here doing this. It's hardly a glamorous job, is it?
It's fair to say that Richard's not a fan of street art.
Clearly got nothing better to do in their lives than just go and disrupt everything for everybody else. And then it's Transpennine that get the blame for not having enough trains on track. I've had to take them out of service because of idiots like them.
He's been scrubbing for hours, but he's still got 2 carriages to go.
Losing all feeling in my hands. Right, I'll have to go and get some more sponges as I've run out.
Hello, have you seen any youths hanging around?
Police officers Kaylee and Bex are back out on the beat looking for teenagers.
Usually this is where they'll hang around.
And they're pleased to discover there's no sign of any youths today.
That's why we do these sort of patrols, just sort of prevent it rather than react to it.
It's more about high visibility presence. Like, they see us in the area and they might be thinking about doing something in that area. They see us, not worth it, not today.
It seems like the message to stay away from the tracks is finally getting through. Back in Manchester, the safety checks have been completed on the train involved in last night's fatality. But the entire train still needs to be deep cleaned before it can return to service.
We use a specialist cleaning chemical which treats the underside of the train. Obviously, because of the nature and the environment that we're working in, it's important we use full chemical protection suit, face mask, eye protection.
This extreme cleaning team often work on police investigations and fatal accidents.
When we arrive on site, we tend not to know the full circumstances, but I think kind of sometimes when you do, it can make it a little bit kind of tougher. These situations are always difficult. Obviously, the priority for the customer is to get the train out into service as quickly as possible, but there is always that human element. You know, unfortunately, someone has lost their life. Sometimes it's an accident, sometimes it's a suicide, so it is always in the back of your mind, kind of the people who have been affected by it. However, in terms of kind of doing the clean, you do just have to kind of block it out and just kind of get on with the job, really.
Experience has taught drivers like Andy Bolton to stay ever vigilant to try and prevent the next incident.
Constantly looking for the next signal, make sure nobody's deciding to trespass, run across, which is quite regularly.
What do you do if you do see someone jump across?
Slam it in emergency and whistle like hell, or hit them like happened to me a couple of years ago, when they stand in front of you and don't move.
Is that sort of responsibility taken its toll as well?
It did. I always said I wouldn't bother me, but it did when I had my fatality. I were off for 7 months. I was really cut up with it, and I never thought it would bother me, but it did. You can never get away from it because you have to go to coroner's court, you police ringing you up statements, and it seems to take forever to go away. And it's constantly a reminder of it. And it's happening a hell of a lot.
Back at the Ardwick depot, the train involved in yesterday's accident has now had its entire 10,000 square foot exterior power washed.
It's taken a couple of hours, but the guys are coming to the end of the clean now. In the scheme of things, it wasn't too bad, so we will hand back the unit, ready for it to go back into service.
The deep clean's gone to plan, so Transpennine will have all their trains back out on their network tomorrow. Next time...
Help's on its way, OK?
A crime wave...
Have to blow your way!
...brings a crackdown across the network.
I am arresting you. Possession with intent to supply drugs.
Tried to headbutt my fellow officer.
Sit on there.
Is it?
You fucking horrible scummy!
New tomorrow at 9, we're knee-deep in more rubbish than you can imagine. And where does it all go? We reveal secrets of the mega landfill. Next tonight, the stress levels are sky high for the staff at Hull's trauma unit when a woman is brought in agony in A&E After Dark, uncut.